A very good evening to partner representatives, fellow academics, students, and friends. Welcome to the Global Webinar Series. Before we move on with the agenda for today, this is to inform that our event today is being broadcasted live via APU's YouTube channel and Facebook. Do watch and leave some feedback and commentaries for both the panel session. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on ahead with the Global Webinar Series, with utmost respect and honor for my institution, allow me to share a little brief about APU and the Enterprise at APU program. The Asia Pacific University of Technology and Innovation, APU, is among Malaysia's premier private universities and is where a unique fusion of technology, innovation, and creativity works effectively towards preparing professional graduates. APU was awarded the Premier Digital Tech University status by the Malaysian Digital Economic Corporation, MDEC, and was recognized for its commitment in offering top-notch digital technology courses. With an international student community of more than 12,000 students from more than 130 countries studying in its Malaysian campus, APU offers a truly cosmopolitan learning environment which prepares students for a global challenge which lies ahead. To better equip student entrepreneurs, APU has committed to experiential entrepreneurship education on campus by launching its Enterprise at APU program in 2021. Enterprise at APU brings together experienced entrepreneurs, mentors, investors, educators, and corporate figures acting entrepreneurially to share their insight and experience with students and academicians. Following that, on the 10th of March 2020, Enterprise at APU successfully took the initiative to lead a memorandum of agreement by collaborating with 9 universities in ASEAN and South Africa to build capacity in supporting startup, spin-out companies, as well as exchanging knowledge and skills between faculty and staffs. The Entrepreneurship Summit is a follow-through event from the MOA between the member of universities of the consortium. The summit brings together stakeholders from the members' universities physically at APU campus to participate in series of activities with the aim to exchange knowledge between educational institutions, to discuss program for students and staff mobility in relation to entrepreneurship and to explore opportunities on possible support from institutions, incubators, as well as potential collaboration in research and other scholarly work. The list of universities participating in the Entrepreneurship Summit: Tra Vinh University from Vietnam, Canto University from Vietnam, Universitas Trisakti Indonesia, Universitas Indonesia, Telkom University Bandung, Indonesia, Pahlawan State University, Philippines, Chia Sim University of Kamchae, Cambodia, National University of Laos, University of Mpumalanga, and Asia Pacific University. Today, as part of the Global Webinar Series under the Entrepreneurship Summit, 2 panel sessions have been organized. Without further ado, we shall start with the first panel session of the Global Webinar Series with the topic Incentive and Policies Supporting Startups. The session will see through panelists discussing the different types of incentive and policy supporting startups ecosystem in their respective countries and how might university or individuals can leverage the support to pursue their startup adventure. With that, I welcome the first speaker for the first panel session, Dr. Josefina Abile, Regional Director from the Department of Science and Technology, Philippines. The second speaker, Dr. Muhammad Dimyati, or known as Pak Dim, who will be joining us online. He's the representative for Ministry of Education, Culture and Research and Technology, Indonesia. The third speaker, Mr. Harminder Singh from Cradle Fund, who is also the Vice President of Strategy and Malaysian Startup Ecosystem. And the moderator for our first session will be our very own Professor Dr. Ho Chin Kwan, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Asia Pacific University. Before we begin the session, I would like to humbly request all questions for the panelists to be addressed at the end of the session. We shall begin the session now.
Thank you, Subi. Good afternoon or good day, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Let me
we can
share with
hear.
you. Is the sound okay? Let me share with you the incentives and policies of DOST Mimaropa, Philippines, to support startups and startup development. Next slide. This will be the order of my presentation. I will first introduce our agency or organization, and then our startup programs, as well as our other initiatives that support and promote startup development. Next slide is a glimpse of the research and development and innovation or RDI ecosystem in the Philippines. This is the governmental organizational chart related to SNT in the Philippines. As you can see, the left side is composed of the academe, while the right side is composed of the executive departments involved in RDI, the Department of Science and Technology as the lead for SNT in the Philippines. The state universities and colleges, or SUCs, has fourfold functions, namely instruction, research, extension, and production. Many private academic institutions are doing research as well. Other than the UST, some government agencies have RDI functions such as the Department of Agriculture, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and the Department of Health. Only a few Only a few companies or firms, usually the large ones, conduct RDI activities and only specific to their needs. Likewise, this is the organizational structure of the DOST. The department is headed by the secretary appointed by the Philippine president. The secretary assisted by three undersecretaries, what you may refer to as deputy minister, and one of them is for research and development or R&D. As you can see, DOST has three sectoral planning councils, two collegial bodies, seven research and development institutes, six scientific and technical service institutes, and 16 regional offices headed by regional directors, among of which is the OST Mimaropa. The department is responsible for the formulation and implementation of policies, plans, programs, and projects for the development of SNT and for the promotion of scientific and technological service activities for both the public and private sectors, and sees to it that the results of these activities are applied and utilized to boost economic and social development. Next slide. As earlier mentioned, DST Mimaropa, the office that I lead, is one of the 16 regional offices providing following innovative solutions and with those mission, vision, and quality policy. We enhance productivity and competitiveness of businesses. We boost this RDI ecosystem. We enhance community resiliency, and we promote environmental protection. Next slide. Here are some of the government policies relating to startups. The Philippine Innovation Act, the Innovative Startup Act, and the National, hmm, let me see, it's missing. Mhm. The National Long-Term Plan for SNT Development is anchored in the Philippine Development Plan, which contains strategies that fall under three pillars, namely enhancing social fabric, inequality, reducing transformation, and increasing growth potential of the economy. As we know, next slide. One of the innovation strategies being implemented by DOST is the Technology Business Incubation Program. As we know, TBI program aims to help startup technology-based businesses by providing a range of services. Mhm. resources, and facilities needed during the development stage. The UST also has pre-startup programs to ensure that TBI program will be sustained, such as the higher education institution readiness for innovation and technopreneurship. Next slide. The transforming R&D outputs into innovations through technopreneurship and customer validation, or TransD, is another initiative under the pre-startup programs. This project is a follow-through intervention being led by my office, the UST Mimaropa, for the entire DUST to address the low turnout of transfer and commercialization of regional invention contest exhibit, or RISE, winning technologies. This aims to provide avenue for researcher industry collaboration, specifically the project aids the RISE winners to learn how to commercialize their technologies through entrepreneurship training and links them to appropriate funding programs. Next slide. An initiative to capacitate students is to incorporate innovation with entrepreneurship in a pioneering program offered by the Palawan State University, where I am a member of the governing board. It is the Master of Science in Technopreneurship, which was initiated by yours truly after our visit to Hanyang University in Seoul, Korea. The program aims to encourage the students to establish their own startup businesses. Aside from the capacity building, DUST also offers project financing windows such as Technicom or Technology for Innovation Commercialization. Through Technicom, technopreneurs are provided with an early accessible multimillion pre-commercialization grant and linkage to technology and innovation support programs. Vigormin, as you can see, and Biotech M are examples of Technicom-assisted ventures. Vigormin is a low-cost, naturally occurring organominerals which, when mixed effectively, reduces unpleasant odor from concrete septic tanks and decaying organic waste. Biotech M is an affordable and locally developed rapid test kit for accurate detection of dengue infection within an hour. The same team developed another low-cost technology, the GEM Amplified COVID-19 RT-PCR detection kit. Another project financing is the Youth Empowerment through Entrepreneurship, or YET program, that aims to develop the entrepreneurial competencies of college students and young professionals with research projects viable for commercialization. What you see, the exotic organicum mushroom is one of the yet assisted startups. Another project funding window for micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, as well as startups, is the Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program, or SETUP, of DUST. DUST recognizes that the biggest challenge in adopting new technologies and implementing innovations is the cost of S&T interventions. Thus, SETUP was expanded to include the provision of Innovation Fund, or iFund. iFund is intended to enable qualified industry associations and enterprises to gain access to appropriate technology, innovations, and technical assistance to improve production efficiency, product quality, and business competitiveness. 30% of the iFund can be a startup grant, providing initial and supplemental funding without repayment to startups who have passed the selection and application process. The startup shall be required to refund 70% of the iFund availed in a predetermined schedule and/or period. The following interventions are covered by the Innovation Enabling Fund. So the iFund is intended to improve product quality, production processes, and production efficiency, to enable industry associations and enterprises to comply with regulatory and market requirements, including adoption of environment technologies. Let us read together. Commercialize DOST developed technologies. Number 4, support packaging solutions, support the shop floor R&D, and uh, em- employ ICT-based technologies needed. So that is how the IFAN should be spent. DUST Mimaropa also contribute to the startup ecosystem by funding projects that promote and support innovation like the following examples. What we did on the gigs on the island, gigs on the beach, gigs on the islands, and I cannot read the third one. Anyway, they are intended to encourage the startups to proceed with their business ideas, and we promote and support them with some grants. DUST Mimaropa also contributes to the startup ecosystem by funding projects that promote and support innovation like the following examples. Oh, I'm done with this. The next slide, please. Oh, we are supposed to read the slide. The Palawan, we build international networks like for our TBI, which is based in Palawan State University. It is a joint venture of DOST Mimaropa, Palawan State University, and a Malaysian-based TBI, which used to be called Make a Difference or MAD, now the E3 Hubs. And it is hosted by PSU, and it caters to these sectors in the Mimaropa region and even outside the region. The PITB seeks to connect and expose the stakeholders as well as the startups to the global setting and potentially gain from the knowledge sharing from international networks such as the Abinet. And this what we have. Abinet is an initiative of the ASEAN Coordinating Committee on MSMEs supported by the government of Japan through the Japan ASEAN Integration Fund or the JAIF. Next slide. I think the next slide is our last slide. And to promote the initiatives mentioned in the previous slides, we showcase startup technologies and opportunities and inspire stakeholders to become innovative. DOST Mimaropa conduct the following promotional activities. Lakas ng Siyensya or The Power of Science. It is a TV online show, which is led by yours truly for the entire DOST. This is a once-a-week show that promotes and disseminates innovative programs of the Department of Science and Technology. We also have publications to share to the public the latest of innovations in the department and the rise or the regional invention contest and exhibit, which is open to public and private entities. And it has 5 categories: outstanding invention, outstanding utility model, outstanding industrial design, outstanding creative research, and outstanding creative research for high school and college students. So after winning the prize, we bring them to the Trans-D to train them on how to commercialize their new technologies, and we provide them the technicum or other funding. That would be all for now. Thank you so much for attention, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Josephina, the Regional Director of Department of Science and Technology, Mimaropa Region, the Philippines. Thank you for sharing the insights on the incentives and also the policies. I'm quite happy to learn that the Philippine government has even enacted a couple of acts, right? You mentioned in your talk the Philippine Innovation Act and also the Startup Act to help the ecosystem. So it's great to learn about that. For the audience who are here in the room today and also online, you may have questions. Just keep your questions first at the end. After the other two speakers have spoken, we will go to your questions. Yeah, next up, let's move on to from Philippines. Let's move on to Indonesia, we have with us Dr. Muhammad Dimyati, the representative of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology, Indonesia. And Dr. Dimyati, over to you. Can you share with us, what are the incentives and policy from the Indonesian side to support the startup ecosystem in Indonesia? Over to you, Dr. Dim.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Ho. Um, Thank you very much. I am Muhammad Demyati. I'm now an associate professor of the University of Indonesia, but I was the Deputy Minister of Strengthening for Research and Development on the Ministry of Research and Technology. Allow me to uh, inform you brief about the development of startup, Centennial Park, and business incubator in Indonesia. Next slide, please. According to the next slide, okay. According to the global startup ranking data in 2022, the development of a number of startups in the world is dominated by United States, India, Great Britain, Canada, and Indonesia. Indonesia is the number 5 in this rank, and there are 2,346 startups in Indonesia. And in the United States, there are 71,405 startups. Its development continues to increase from day to day, and the startups come from various medium and micro enterprises and evolved from digital to art, science, and so on, and mostly dominated by young people. And universities are a source of interesting ideas for the growth of startup. Next slide, please. There are 5 unicorn startups in Indonesia that are Tokopedia with valuation around 7 billion US dollar, OVO 2.9, Bukalapak 2.5, Traveloka 2, and Gojek. And the Dekakon is a super app of Gojek with valuation around 10 million. And on the other side, there are many incentive programs from the government for startups, such as an example, tax relief up to 1% for startup with omset up to 4.8 billion rupiah. It is mentioned in the government regulation number 44, 2013, related to tax. And the second one, lawsuit protection. It is based on the regulation from the Ministry of Communication and Information. And also there are still many incentives from Ministry of Communication and Information, such as Sky Toll movement, national movement for 1,000 digital startup, and the next Indonesian unicorn, and so on and so on. And also one interesting program from Ministry of Education, Culture, and Research and Technology, what we call with Kedaireka. Kedaireka is also one of programs that facilitates the growth and the development of startup in, especially in universities. And next slide. On the other side, the government has programs called Sign and Tenopa. This development of the STP is one of the strategic steps in encouraging the downstreaming of research and technology result. The development of this area is a part of the vision and mission of the President of Indonesia. And it is mentioned in 2015, 2019, and continued to 2020, 2024. But university startup in Indonesia especially had not seriously taken advantage of the business incubation program carried out by STP at these ministries programs. So this is the one note I have to underline and to inform to you. The next slide, please. In 2019 example, the government program 45 STPs, and there are 45 STPs are planned to be built. However, due to the various reasons, only 22 STP was finally set up. Most of them are in universities. many programs have been developed to encourage the growth and development of STPs, but the results are not as fast as targeted. The progress is not as expected, and the active STPs remaining less than 22 STPs. The next slide. To encourage the development of STP, business incubator for startup in the ministry is encouraging partnership program with funds from abroad. And the Ministry of Research Technology at that time, which was then continued by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology, encouraged the STP program in collaboration with ADB. Next slide. And four of them, which have been listed as the candidate to implement the above programs, are University of Indonesia, IPB, Gajah Mada University, and ITB. The program name, Promoting Research and Innovation Through Modern and Efficient Science and Technopark, or we call Prime Steps. The goals of these programs are mainly two goals. The first one is to upgrade and develop STPs for economic development for our country, which consists of strengthening STP's governance. The second, strengthening STP's researchers and intermediary technologies. And the third, renews STP's equipment. The second goal is to conduct international collaborative research, development, and innovation in each STP and project and also network. Next slide, please. There are three outputs of this program. The first one is research and development and innovation facilities upgraded, which consists of set up advanced R&D centers of excellence, focusing on technological fields prioritized at the national level in 4 STPs, as I mentioned before. And the second, scale up technology translations and diffusion platforms. And then support civil works, especially for Bogor Agriculture Institute. The second output is the innovation system and strategic R&D partnership in 4 STP improve, which consists of co-finance market-oriented and also finance pre-incubation, incubation, and scale-up programs for stimulating technology startup in 4 universities I mentioned. And then the output will also improve R&D collaboration for university I mentioned with reputable international research institute of course. And the third output is the institutional capability of 4 STPs and ministry project management is also strengthened. This is consist of enhance the researchers and intermediate technologies, especially related to their capability and capacity building, and also strengthen the ministries and STP's financial management, procurement, gender, and up to ADB's requirements. And also support the ministry monitoring and evaluation system in collecting and analyzing data generated from the project. The next slide. The framework on and focus of prime step development, especially for this university, for the University of Indonesia, it will be focused on engineering, advanced materials, health, and energy. Bogor University, or Bogor Agriculture University, or IPB, will be concerned in tropical agriculture, biosciences, food and marine affairs. Gajah Mada University in Yogyakarta will focus on health and pharmacy, agro plantation and digital engineering, which is Bandung Institute of Technology will focus on smart technology and digital connectivity. Meanwhile, the ministry will provide assistance, development, facilitation, and coordination. Let me explain more in next slide. Next slide, please. For University of Indonesia, an example, and here there are some members from University of Indonesia will be coordinated by Dr. Sandi. Maybe he will explain later. University of Indonesia will concern or focus in the capacity building, include scholarship, of course, and also development and innovation facilities improvement, and also enhancing the innovation system for research and development in the STP, and development of teaching factory, especially for health facilities. And in Bogor Agriculture University, there are 4 focus. The first one is capacity building. The second one, research development and innovation facilities improvement, enhancement of innovation system for research and development in STPs, and halal building constructions. And the Gajah Mada University, there are 3 focus: capacity building, RDI facilities improvement, and enhancement of innovation system for R&D in STP. And for Bandung ITB, will focus on capacity building, RDI facilities improvement, and enhancement of innovation system for RD, research and development, and STP. Which is in the ministry, will facilitate and back up project administration, study visit, consultant cost, and so on. And the next slide, the target output will be on the year of 2027, which is the first target with capacity building, including scholarship. The second one, the facility improvement, and the third one, enhancement of innovation system for research and development and STP. With the outcome projection for the year of 2029, at least in 3 points. The percentage of percentage increase of the revenue from intellectual property right, and the number of intellectual property right and number of STP achieved tertiary levels. And in the next slide, this is the last slide. Now we are preparing the finalization of collaboration with ADP, and hopefully soon in this next fiscal year, we can start to implement this project. And of course, it means we will have we have to develop more incentive and policy to support startup, especially university startup. So this is my last slides, and thank you very much. I return back to Prof. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Dim, for sharing from the Indonesian perspectives. What are the things and incentives and policies that are put in place to support? And I think one of the key points that you have highlighted from the Indonesian perspective is that one of the focus is actually at the university level. As you've highlighted, there are a number of programs, selected universities for different areas. Okay, now let's move on to my home ground. From the Malaysian perspective, yeah, we have Mr. Harminder Singh, who is the Vice President Strategy at Cradle Fund Malaysia. So over to you, Mr. Harminder.
Thanks, Prof. Just let me share the screen. Okay, I think for some reason I can't share the screen. Give me a second. Okay, I think I'm unable to share the screen for some reason.
You try to get it sorted out, Harminder. So, yeah.
So sorry, I'm unable to share any slides. But what I'll do is I will basically give you an overview of the role that Cradle plays. You can hear me, guys, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. We at Cradle, we are basically appointed as the focal point for a newly minted roadmap called the Startup Ecosystem Roadmap. Yeah. So this roadmap is a very comprehensive one. It overlooks as an overarching roadmap across all sectors that are involved or stakeholders that are involved in development enhancement of the startup industry in Malaysia. So what we do is that the roadmap was basically created to actually create a direction for the government, right? The direction for the government in sense that how do we work with the startup community? Who are the stakeholders inside? And how do we create an environment where the startups can actually thrive? Now, in doing so, there are a lot of obviously challenges and gaps that we have to, go through. And the industry is not an easy one, if you can see. The startup ecosystem is currently valued globally at about 13 trillion USD or 4 trillion USD. That's a huge amount. If you look at it, a lot of these companies, startup companies, are still dominating in the US or in the Northern American region, right, and Europe. So the question here is that for Malaysia, how do we move forward? So the Malaysian government took a step back. We wanted to basically illustrate a holistic view on how we're going to approach this. We wanted to actually have a roadmap that we can achieve. There are indicators that we can track. There's project management team behind it and an agency that is responsible for delivering it as well. All this is being done so that we can actually create a robust group of startups in Malaysia to achieve at least at a level of top 20 best ecosystems in the world. Now, to go and do that, it's a daunting task. And actually, the task is actually pretty much on our head right now as we speak to, liaise with all these stakeholders across what they call Malaysia and also regional and global as well. So 2030 is our benchmark here, our goal here, our goal post, and how we're going to achieve that. Now, there are 4 categories that we have actually created, we are following at the moment. The first one is what we call is as a activation stage category. Pretty much we are looking into what they call startups, which are about close to about a few hundred. We value each startup and we actually move the startups from there to an attraction stage. Attraction stage is basically where we want to be in the future. Pretty much we need to have close to about 1,000 to 2,000 startups in Malaysia. Right now we are doing around about 800 to 1,000 startups. So how do we increase the numbers? At the end of the day, this is a numbers game. And for us to actually have quite a number of startups, and I'm talking about startups which are quality and startups, they have got ideas that are, that have potential to become, either have very good exits with their partners or go on to become unicorns in Malaysia. So we are at the stage of identifying, which startups are there. There are programs across that have been designed. One of the notable one that I'd like to put forward to you is My Startup Platform in Malaysia. MyStartupPlatform.com.my is a very, very powerful platform. It integrates across all the players around all the stakeholders around the region. We're talking about global, we're talking about VCs being in there, we're talking about global startups from US, Europe that are being in there. It's a meeting place. And that program over there is also supported with accelerators that is actually being done under the My Startup portal as well. Now, to support that, there are also funding issues and, especially at the early stage of startup. If you look at universities across the globe or even in Malaysia, for example, a lot of those ideas that have come out of the universities require a lot of pre-seed funding support. And also in terms of the technical know-how, that's one, but also more importantly is about the entrepreneurship. And that is actually a big gap that is actually lacking at the moment. How do we bridge that gap? How do we get them to go out there and to become business savvy and to understand? So the quality is very, very important. And right now, what we find under the program is that, yes, you have an idea, you have a very good value proposition, but then how do you cross that J curve? How do you create products or your services to be aligned, to be solid, to withstand the test of the VUCA, especially now post pandemic, where you have got, we are just coming out of the COVID pandemic, and a lot of new companies have come up, from nowhere, and they need help, they need support, especially related to digitization, and we are focusing a lot on that at the moment. So there is actually a movement that we are creating across Malaysia to get people, to get our students from universities, and also those who are very keen to join and to create startups to come on board, under the super banner, under the My Startup banner, to actually move forward and to rally. And if we can create a good number across universities across in Malaysia, or where Sabah and Sarawak included, we will be able to then have that number to actually move forward. So we are talking about a pool of huge number of startups, and then from there maybe a pyramid to actually come out with maybe a 2 or 3 good unicorns. Our target is actually to create 5,000 startups and to have 5 unicorns by 2025. That's a very, very, very tight schedule, and we are working very hard to actually making sure we achieve that target. So I'm very happy actually to meet Padim, and also representative from Philippines as now. I heard a lot about programs that are there, and in fact, it's very plausible to see that you actually have a startup roadmap. In fact, so that is quite interesting for us as well in Malaysia to see through. But what we have at the moment is a roadmap to actually take us through this whole journey. Of course, the value of each stage of the startup goes up. Malaysia is currently valued at about 70 billion with the number of startups that we have from Genome Startup Report, which was produced just recently in July. So we hope that we can actually move ahead with that and further. Now, from this report, I would just like to share with you, Malaysia, there are 5 focus areas, right? The first one is funding. At the moment, there's of course, heavy reliance on government. We would like to move that to the private sector, to get more private sectors to come in to support, especially early stage funding for startups in Malaysia. So this is something that is in the pipeline. There are initiatives under this that we are actually working on. We just have had our recent meetings with the government agencies and VCs as well. We are trying to see how we can actually bridge this gap, right? Number 2 is talent. Talent is very, very important, as you know. Once you pass the J curve, you are at the growth stage, and you have the startups need to understand that they need to work with right skills, right people. And this is something very, very crucial. The universities I know in Malaysia are now working very hard to work backwards to see what's there in the market and how do we bridge that gap. What kind of modules that we should be introducing in the universities that can support the pipeline of new emerging tech areas, whether it's in the biotech realm, whether it's edutech, whether it's fintech, and so on and so forth. I will cover that shortly in the pyramid of goals that we have got. So, and of course, I'll share the slides with you guys as well post this presentation, right? That's very, very important. The second and the third thing, which is very close to my heart, is basically innovation. I think at the moment we've been in the making of innovation for a while now. So we need to put a lot of effort, especially in the right places. So I think this goes back only to experience. The concept of reverse pitching and open flow innovation should be increased, especially from the corporate side point of view. I think a lot of those ideas that are worth working on have to be validated by the industry. And I think that's where the startups that are coming up will find that after they have created that innovation, there is something to apply to. There is actually a direction for them to move towards. And there is actually value in that innovation. And when I say innovation, I'm talking a lot about intellectual property that is being created. that correlates directly with our national index level. So I think the more intellectual property and the value creation that we create from there is going to be very, very helpful for us to move forward, right? Thirdly, we are talking about market environment. Market environment is crucial, and this is where I think Malaysia can do much better. And through our programs under Super, we have got various agencies, whether it's SME Corp, whether it's MDEC, whether it's Meranti, and also Cradle, through our outreach programs, through all these agencies, we are trying to reach, of course, the shores in other countries as well, to promote our startups, and also to, of course, likewise to get the other startups from other countries to also come into Malaysia. I think we are moving into a realm where it's borderless anyway, where it's all what I call governed by demand of economics. So I think this is something that it's in the vicinity, it's coming, and it's just how we're going to actually take best advantage of it. So it's a regional focus right now. It's no longer country-based. It's a regional focus. It's a global focus. And the third one is on policies and regulation. Yeah, this is something that is always going to be ongoing, because there are going to be challenges and issues with regards to laws. Under the Super Roadmap, we are facilitating that process, whether it's intricate VC issues, or whether it's going to be a problem with what we had previously with ride sharing and stuff like that, how we are going to actually come up with laws that actually help us govern that. It's not easy. It's something that has to go through the drill, no doubt. But then, yes, there has to be focus given to these areas as well. So 5 focus areas under the roadmap. Each of these focus area has got its own leg. Yeah. In total, there are 16 interventions actually. 16 interventions under the roadmap. And these interventions are project managed. They have teams under that. They have what we call it, lead agencies that are responsible in ensuring that each one of these interventions is carried out. So I won't go through all of them because they're quite a handful, and without slides, I think you'll be lost. So I will share those slides so that you can understand. And furthermore, this whole roadmap can be downloaded under the Ministry of Science website. It's called the Startup Ecosystem Roadmap Malaysia. It's very comprehensive. You have the whole information piece there. And if you need anything more from that roadmap, you can always reach out to me through the organizers. I can definitely help and support, especially from Jakarta and also from Philippines. I'm more than happy to engage with our counterparts, with Pak Dim himself as well. Maybe we can take on further to share, the challenges of our startups over here, and also probably from the other countries as well. I think, in essence, pretty much this is what I wanted to share, so that you have what I call some idea of what we are doing. Another area, just give me a moment. Another area that I would like to also cover is the 2 key levers. Yeah. Focus areas under the roadmap, so that where our startups are focusing at. We are looking into deep tech. So 2 sectors are, the level 1 would be a fintech, digital content, and cybersecurity. So these are the 3 areas under the commercial sectors. And if you look into the strategic sectors, we are looking into life sciences, including biotech, pharma, medtech. These are the key areas that we are looking into. Education, edtech is crucial as well. Agriculture, I think this is very important in the application of IoT within this area. Of course, we are also looking into food tech as well, right? The food security issues and stuff coming up as well. So this is another key area. So we have got a lot of startups now who are already looking into precision, farming, and how they're going to focus on these areas. Very interesting products are coming out. And all this is done under the purview of Ministry of Science. So kudos to the minister, who actually is working very, very hard and bringing all together the entire roadmap and all the stakeholders to actually work on this. So Ministry of Science is playing a very big role here, actually. And of course, lastly is clean energy. So these are the key areas. Yeah. So I think through that, we basically, hopefully, will be able to meet our objective of creating this pool of startups that can achieve our goal that we have set out. So I have the startup roadmap over here. It's downloadable. Yeah. So from the Ministry of Science website, and I will give you the link through the organizers. Thank you very much. That's for me for now.
Thank you, Harminder, for giving us a, a good, although very brief overview of the Malaysian startup ecosystem roadmap. You won't forget the acronym. The acronym is SUPER,
Super.
right?
Yes, it's called
Yeah,
Super.
it's SUPER, the Malaysian startup ecosystem roadmap. We have about 15 minutes left to this um, forum. Now, I'd like to check the audience here in the auditorium. Are there any questions that you would like to ask of a three very distinguished speakers here? Any questions from here? What about those who are online? If you're online and you have questions that you would like to ask, you can essentially type in your question in the chat. Okay, while waiting for questions to come in, let me just ask a couple of questions. I'll start with one question now. We see that there are a lot of we heard the incentives and also the policy support from three countries: Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia. What are your views in terms of potential synergy? Just put geopolitical issues aside. What are your views in terms of do you think that there could be synergy in terms of the works around these three countries so that we can have more unicorns? So what are your thoughts around that rather than working in pockets and reinventing the wheel? What do you think about this synergy across ASEAN, for example? We can start with Dr. Joe if you have any views on that.
Sorry, may I clarify the question? What are our thoughts on
Yeah, how can we work together? How can how
three
can we all
countries?
as ASEAN work together to drive the agenda of startup?
Okay, let me try. Dr. Ho.
Sure,
Can I
go
try?
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think we have to talk, to compare notes on what we do in every country, and maybe study which are the best practices, and maybe we can adopt each other's best practices, or we can make one big program for the three countries, although at some part of the program, like what Mr. Singh said, at some part of maybe a roadmap of a program, there will be some variations because there are idiosyncrasies or uniqueness in every country. There are the culture, some cultural change, some cultural differences that one standard policy may not apply. So we can, in other words, compare notes, pick up what are the best practices that we believe will be applicable to us from Malaysia and Indonesia, and they do the same. And maybe we can try to craft up one single program that can apply to all with a variation that is specific for each country.
Thank you, Dr. Joe. Now, what do you think, Harminder and Pat Dim? Dr. Joe was talking, it was mentioning about let's start talking, but is it easy to get started talking, or what are the challenges? Pat Dim or Harminder, what are your thoughts around that? Challenges, yeah, challenges as well.
I think Padim, your mic muted.
Okay, I'll try to respond Prof. questions. Strongly, I agree with the synergy between ASEAN countries. Yeah? So this synergy in various fields, including in the development of startup, is very interesting and needs to be continuously encouraged. For that, let's put this event concretely into action and start pioneering what kind of startup will be synergized. I think Dr. Singh also has mentioned or has explained about the roadmap, and we can choose one of them. And how to say, relation between universities there, I mean, in the locations can be started with the concrete synergy for the near future. This is my comment related to what Prof. Ho responds.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think from my point of view, it's actually long overdue. The startups, and they are basically moving out into the industry, but some of them are, they need that support, especially cross border when we go to other countries and launching products and services in the other countries. I think if there could be some sort of a pipeline program between these countries, that could be a one effort that we could say to help create that channel. At least there is a channel to link up those countries through that. But I think more than that is also the support of the governments. I think is very important as well on all sides as well, with respect to the universities programs and how they can support it better. I think it comes down to, at the end of the day, funding the programs and channeling the right initiatives. So I think maybe that could be something that we can work out at the higher level.
Thank you. I'm just going to go to a question which we received from an online audience, and it's along the lines of our discussion now. So I'm going to paraphrase the question a bit. It says, suppose I have a startup in Malaysia. Can I apply for a startup grant in Indonesia or Philippines, for example? Are funds in neighboring countries or partner countries accessible to startups from another country, let's say within the ASEAN context? Yeah, Dr. Joe. Yeah.
Thank you for the question, Dr. Ho. Startups are really very risky. That's why they need support, all the kind of support that can be provided to them. And also the resources that are available for every country are limited as well. So it is a procedure to evaluate every startup to be provided funding. Now, in my country, I haven't heard of a foreign national being provided by a grant for a startup. Maybe if he has a partner, if he has a Filipino partner, they can be provided grant.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the key is get a local partner in
Yeah,
Philippines.
we can partner.
Yeah?
So we can give you grant in Philippines.
Right. So thank you for sharing that. I think some of us will know what to do, right? Okay. I want to move to Pak Dim, from the
Yeah.
Indonesian perspective. Can I, as a
Yeah.
Malaysian startup, can I go to Indonesia and apply for some of your grants?
Yeah, as I said in the presentation earlier, that Indonesia is open to cooperating with various parties for the development of startup. As long as the proposal is in line with the innovation program, we are open to external proposals for cooperations. Of course, the partner should be from Indonesia, and I think we are open for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Harminder, from Cradle perspective.
There's a lot of grants already in Malaysia. I mean, if I were you, I'll stay back, explore.
Okay,
come and
let
talk.
me rephrase it. Let's say, our friend from Philippines wants to come to Malaysia. So let's put it that way.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, glad to get a Malaysian partner. Similarly applies here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea is that limited resources. So let's get partner up. Make sure we have good partners, like what we are doing here this week for the Entrepreneurship Summit, making friends, making partners. Yeah. Okay. There was an. Is there any questions from the floor? Otherwise, I'll ask this burning question. I think what has been discussed so far are actually incentives coming mainly from government. And I think one of the points raised just now was actually how can we get the private sector to actually come in and also play a part in giving these incentives. So, private sector, instead of government, we have more private sector participation in building the startup ecosystem. So, Harminder, where are we with regards to this initiative or this goal?
I think we're still quite far away from there. Actually, honestly, we have got under the cradle. We do have what they call something called the Angel Tax Incentive Scheme, where we have actually gotten angel investors to get some sort of a tax benefit by coming on to the program under the Malaysian what they call MBAN program. Yeah, so that basically covers the Malaysian angel investors. So even that also, it's a small investors, right? They're not larger investors, but some of the startups require more funds, especially at early stage funding, because not many organizations would like to take that risk, because it's very difficult to justify why did I invest in a very high risky company. But then again, the mindset, it has to be that of I'm willing to take that risk of certain percentage, but how am I going to justify that to my board of directors? If you look at it from the corporate side, if you break down the corporate side, there are the corporate players which are pretty much large family-owned businesses who are not maybe willing to take a little bit more risk and investing in startups. But when you come towards government-linked companies, or probably they are bound by a lot of governance as well. So I think it requires a lot of what they call framework relook at, and of course risk assessment before that can happen. So under the super program, especially under the intervention to support that, we are already talking with a lot of players out there to see how we can actually bridge this gap. But it's not an easy one to bridge. At the moment, I think for early stage funding, we only have one key program, I think, at the moment under Cradle, which is the Sprint and Spark program. Spark program basically is a new ideation pre-commercialization seed stage, which gives you about 150,000 ringgit. And then the next one will be the Spark, which is about 500,000 ringgit. That is also for tech commercialization, and that happens at a later stage when they have actually gone into growth. So you can see, it's a really key area, and we are actually working very hard to see how we can actually bridge this gap at the moment.
Thank you. Are there any questions before I move on to Pak Dim and Dr. Joe to answer this question? Are there any questions from the audience? Anyone? Otherwise, Dr. Joe can go ahead. Private sector involvement in terms of funding startups, providing incentives for startups.
Private sector involved funding to startups.
For startups, yeah.
But in the Philippines, we have the startup grant fund from government. But before we release the fund, we make sure that we do capacitate the startup, handhold them until they can be on their own, and we provide grants of multi-million pesos.
Oh.
The private involvement is the equity.
Right.
Equity to his own business, where we invest also from government. But other private entities making a grant to other private, I don't think, unless they are investing.
Right.
They are investing.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, Pak Dim, you mentioned that, of course, Indonesia have quite a number of unicorns, 5 of them, as you have rightly pointed out. Now, are these unicorns in Indonesia contributing back to the startup ecosystem in Indonesia?
Yeah. The response like this. Don't forget that the private sector is, we can say, a unit that is always looking for profit. Yeah. So, to get the incentive from them, I think we have to adjust our program and to the private mission. So we have to show that our proposal is very beneficial to them. I'm sure that they will consider our request. But as you just mentioned that some unicorns in Indonesia, most of them have what we call with small program, incentive program, especially for the new startup. And some of them have collaboration with that unicorn.
Right. Thank you, Pak Dim. I'm cautious of the time. We are at 4:15 now. I think this is the time, all the time that we have for the first webinar. I would like to, on behalf of the organizer, I would like to thank Dr. Josephina who is here with us at APU, Auditorium 1, all the way from Philippines. Thank you for coming again. Um, Certainly, my fellow countryman, Mr. Harminder Singh,
Thank you.
the VP at Cradle Fund, thank you for supporting this event.
No worries.
And Pak Dim, all the way from Indonesia.
Thank you.
Always great to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you and terima kasih. Yeah.
Terima kasih.
So there's Bapak Dim from Indonesia, and of course for the audience who have in the auditorium and also online. Thank you for tuning in. Don't go away. We have a second webinar coming up soon at 4:30 with another interesting topic. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I thank Dr. Josephine.
Thank you, Dr.
Dr.
Josephine and Pak Dim as
Dr.
well.
Singh. Okay.
See you.
Okay. Bye. See you.
Bye.
Okay. You're okay? You're comfortable? I'm all right. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, moving on now to our second panel session of the global webinar series. The topic for the second session is University's Aspiration for Startups. The session will see through panelists discussing and share their views on university's aspiration for students in staff-led startups. What are the strategies or framework in place to support the endeavour? With that, I welcome the first speaker, Professor Dr. Ramon M. Doctor, University President of Pahlawan State University. The second speaker, Professor Tran Ngoc Hai, Vice Rector of International Relations as Head of CTU. The third speaker, Professor Toko Mayakiso, Vice Chancellor of University of Mpumalanga, South Africa. And the fourth speaker, Mr. Yen Sambo, Vice Rector of CSUK. And the moderator for our second session will be our very own Dr. Hari Narayanan Ondiviran, President of APU. Before we begin the session, once again, I would like to humbly request all questions for the panelists to be addressed at the end of the session. Dr. Hari, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Subhashini. Thank you very much. And it's a real great pleasure to have my fellow colleagues here. And we have them physically here in APU. Thank you very much. And, I had the opportunity to listen to your sharing yesterday in terms of what you're doing from a entrepreneurship and startup in your various universities, and it'd be good perhaps to take about 5 to 10 minutes each at least, yeah, to share with us in terms of what are your aspirations in university in terms of startup. So with that, can I have perhaps Mr. Sambo first to start? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I would like to pay my respect to His Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, and to the audience in the OD and audience from the Facebook page and YouTube of APU. My name is Yin Zombo. I'm Vice Rector of GSM University of Kamchaja from Cambodia. Thank you.
Thank you. And then can I have Professor Hai to say a few words?
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, very happy to be here again to Malaysia. Actually, I visit Malaysia many times and also related from Malaysia, and very nice that to attend this very special meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you. And Prof. Toko?
Good afternoon. It is indeed an
Could you
honor.
hold it closer, yeah.
It is a privilege and an honor for me and my team to be here today, all the way from South Africa. And my name is Toko Maegiso. I'm the Vice Chancellor of the University of Mpumalanga.
Thank you. And finally, Professor Doctor?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very glad to be with you this afternoon with my team. We have here from, just say hi, our team from Philippines, Palawan State University. And of course, I would like to be, to share what we had, our innovations in Palawan State University together with the Department of Science and Technology.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm sure that you get audience both here physically and virtually. Perhaps you can pose questions to the panelists, but before we can get started there, perhaps what we can do is that, the title of this particular panel is University's Aspiration for Startups. Perhaps we'll just go to the title, and if I could ask Prof. Doctor, in terms of what is your university's aspiration for startup?
As what mentioned by Director Abilay, just we started our startup, our we say Palawan International Business Incubation last 2016, but with the small beginning, and later on with the help of the Department of Science and Technology and the private sectors and some of our with administrations, we had successfully have the first batch of our incubators, and they are graduated. Right. So we have contributed a lot from the starting up of our incubators up to the time that they graduated from our business incubation.
Thank you. And what about Prof. Toko, if you could kind of clarify in terms of what are your drives and what are your aspirations in the university to encourage more startups?
Firstly, our vision for our university is to be an African university leading in creating opportunities for sustainable development through innovation. So for us, innovation is important and it is linked to our vision. And we have a motto of creating opportunities. And these opportunities are created for both staff and students. And this is the basis for us to develop a framework, an enabling framework for startups to develop.
Okay, so you talked about innovation and sustainable innovation in that sense, yeah? What about Prof. Hai from Kento University, is that right?
Yeah. Actually, as you may know, that Kento University established in 1966, and to now already 56 years of establishment, and located right in the center of Mekong Delta. And you also may know about the Mekong Delta is the agricultural producing and aquaculture producing area of the whole country. So far, until since establishment until 1990s, Kento University is considered the only state university on the Mekong Delta. So with that, Kento University play a very important mission in education, research, and technology transfer, and also community service to the Mekong Delta. So far, we work very strong on agriculture, especially on agriculture, including aquaculture, and many consider research innovation already established for rice cultivation and for aquaculture development. And one of consider important innovation, as I said, not only from the I consider rice. You know, one of very special examples of innovation and staff from our university is Mr. Hồ Quang Cua. He's the alumni of Kento University. Work together with all of our professors and students. And after graduation, he established himself the company and developed different variety of rice. And now we have developed, consider special price is an award with the best rice, the best price of the world in the last some years. So that consider important innovation and stuff. And another area is on aquaculture. You may know that yearly Mekong Delta produce more than 1.5 million tons of catfish. That's also come from our Kento University. So research and then technology transfer, and then technology transfer to different partner from the state government to the private sector is considered very dynamic and very important to our Kento University. And so I think staff and also entrepreneurs activities and also how to develop further on that consider important mission. Thank you. Yeah.
Fantastic, excellent. And Sambo would.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, for the inspiration of CAUK for startup, because CAUK have a vision. We want to be the leading university in the eastern area of Cambodia, and we set the clear goal. Yeah, and the point of some goal of CAUK is we to be the research university and to develop infrastructure for the research and to set up the business center also. So we inspiration for startup when we have the center, we can align between theoretical and practical. It gives opportunity for the teacher, for the professor, for the practice in incubation, and give opportunity for our students to practice also, and we can generate some income from startup. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not sure there are any questions from anyone, but let me continue on. I just have a few questions here. This is to any of you. What do you think? We earlier on in the first panel, we had 3 panelists from Philippines, Indonesia, and also Malaysia. They talked about incentives, and I took the point that there are incentives out there in Indonesia, and I'm sure that the various governments are also supporting it. Having said that, what do you think are the key ingredients or success factors for a successful startup in a university environment? What do you think, Doctor?
Okay. For the first is, of course, we had scientific and innovative knowledge of our startup, our persons, and then we had dedication to work. And of course, as mentioned, we cannot do it without the capitalization. So we have there the collaborations of the different agencies. We also had what we call as the PPP. We call that public-private partnership. And maybe we can do some collaborations with some other private, and we have public agencies to have this startup. So it becomes a good collaboration. We'll have more capital and can go on with the startup.
Okay, and one of the things that we have found even in APU is how do you convert the innovation to a successful startup, and do you have any experiences in that? What are the challenges that these entrepreneurs face, and how do you, from a university perspective, help them to overcome these challenges? What do you think, Prof?
Yes, actually, as I mentioned before, our PITB there, our international business incubation started with a very small capital. We have only 2 classrooms there but later on, with the help of the administration, we give them 2 buildings now. We have the Student Innovation Center and we have the PITB building. So this is a good collaboration with the university administration, and of course some of the instruments were given to us by the Department of Science and Technology and some capitalization. So with that, we do on with this startup, and because of this, maybe we say good collaborations, a good relationship with them.
Okay, thank you. And Prof, what do you think? What are the successful ingredients, if you want to call it, or the success factors?
Yeah, actually, for startup and also established entrepreneurs, something like that, very important. First is consider the facilities good enough for studies. If with the facility good enough, that's good for student and also staff to do research together. And another one is consider the regulation, management, and also governance in the university. We should have good regulations so that to enhance to remote research in addition to education, not only focus on theory but also focus more on research and then apply research to further application. And the second one is considered the structure management in the university. in the university, we should have some considered support unit to support for research, for incubation. Like Cần Thơ University, we have almost 10 units support for students, and but directly to support for the startup. That one, the Center for Student Consultancy, Assistant and Startup. We have another the unit considered Department of Research Management. Yearly, we have more than 300, 400 research projects for our students. With that research, then the student can apply that findings to the practice. And another one, I think, about the funding or about the budget. So with the budget can be from university or can be supported from the partners. So that consider the very important for the student to do research and then apply. And another one very important thing is about the collaboration, as mentioned by Dr. That collaboration between university, industry, and the government. That one very important to bring the finding, apply the finding to the application to the more small scale and then the large scale. Then together with that, different activities we should work support the student even in environments. We try to create environment for our students to approach to the industry. The student, not only our staff, but the students should have a good environment to go and practice with at the companies, and also to learn from the government company, something like that. And then they have the new idea to work together, and then also get support from not only the university but also the companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Now you talked about you earlier on in one of the questions, you talked about one of your success stories about an entrepreneur within the university coming up with different rice grains or different varieties.
Yeah.
So how is that company doing now?
Actually, there's a set of development of different varieties of rice. That one, since about 30 years to now. That's a long story, because that one, the genetics improvement of the rice. So that took a long time. So our alumni after graduation, he worked for the not only the department of the government of the provincial department, but he also worked himself at home, and he established his company, and he run their own experiments, and then also in groups, should work in group together and do different trials. He developed gradually with different variety of rice, and now it's become very famous in the world. Now become the best rice in the world. You can ST with the tag name ST and Mr. Kur rice.
We should look. We should find out whether in Malaysia we import that rice. So we should taste that. Thank you.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you. Now let me maybe ask a slightly different question to Prof. Toko. From a university environment, if you look at students coming into university, they want to get a degree. They want to get a diploma or degree or a postdoc or a doctorate and graduate, and they want to go to work. Yeah. So how are you, infusing the mindset of entrepreneurism or encouraging startup among these students? Because they're coming for a purpose, but then we are saying you need this. How are you managing that, Prof. Toko, in your university? If you could, yeah.
At my university, during orientation of first-year students, they are introduced to entrepreneurship. Also, because one of our graduate attributes is that the students will be entrepreneurial and innovative in their approach. So throughout their career, these attributes are emphasized. Secondly, we offer entrepreneurship as a module in the BCom, in one of our degrees, as well as in the BA degree. So we offer that as a formal module. And throughout, there are societies with students. For instance, one is called Enectus, which happens to be a worldwide society. Entrepreneurship is embedded into the community development projects that they are expected to be involved in. I think also just our motto or our strap line of saying creating opportunities on its own, whenever we have an opportunity to talk to students, we indicate that as a university, we are there to create opportunities for them. So in that way, we believe that entrepreneurship thinking will be enhanced. We have recently established a Center for Entrepreneurship Rapid Incubator, and we believe that that's also a vehicle for infusing entrepreneurship amongst our students.
Okay, very good. And what about Ms. Sambo? What do you think? How are you driving the entrepreneur mindset among the students who I'm sure join your university to get a degree or a doctorate? So what are you doing within the journey that the students get through? How are you infusing the entrepreneur mindset, and how do you encourage them to think about startups?
Yes, thank you. By we need to have like growing mindset. So we set the continue activity for working on startup. It relate to the result for the growing concept. The result cannot the same when we complete the activity. For example, like this month or this year, we need to continue to do the new thing also. And relate to your question about the mindset, for example, to complete the grade, yeah, the university need to give the student for research on the topic, and to complete all the credit that will achieve the certificate or the graduate.
Okay, so do you, like what Prof. Toko mentioned, to embed in the curriculum entrepreneurism? Is that what one of the ways that you're doing at university?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, curriculum is very important also, and the activity. Yeah, for example, like at my university, nowadays we do the project. One project related to we call Master of Family Business Management that funded by Erasmus program from European. So we we work together with the partner university, with the donor. Yeah, we develop the curriculum and finalize all the curriculum, and we work relate to industry also. So like curriculum, we have like university industry linkage, and we after we develop, we visit to many industry also. Yes. For example, like from last month, joined the workshop that relate to Master of Family Business Management at Philippines, and we visit to the industry and to the to explore about the success story from the family profile also.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And Prof. Hai, how are you driving this mindset change, or how do you inculcate entrepreneurism or startups among the students at your university? How do you, for example, I mean, we all have the aspiration to have startups from the university environment. As I mentioned, typically students coming to university to get a degree, not to study entrepreneurship, not necessarily. So what are you doing to infuse the mindset of startups among your students? How are you doing it? Yeah. What's your strategy?
Yeah, actually now they mentioned that startup we consider important, consider time for startup for all the people. But in depend on the people. Sometimes depend on the students. Sometimes they aim to work for startup to establish the company, something like that later. But another one, they just want to get knowledge, something like that. So that's why now in university that consider the for Cần Thơ University that now optional course. In the curriculum, we most of the curriculum of the different field of studies, we have the course on the startup, and that one considers soft skill, but that one with about 2 credits. So, but that one the optional, not the required. So depend on the student that they if they need, then they take that course to learn more. But that one is the theory in the curriculum. So it's theory course in the curriculum. But during the 4-year studies, we create different activity for them, like the talk show, seminar for on, or even for to most of students must take the practical course in addition to theories, and they also have chance to approach to the company, something like that. So although sometimes they do not take the required course, but through all the activity, they also may change later on, and then they can learn more through the practice, through approach to the industry. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. And Prof. Doctor.
Yeah,
what
thank
do
you.
you think? How are you implementing that in your university?
Yeah, in our university, sir, we have the research subject, and then we say that the idea of the students will be converted into entrepreneurial. We say that there are a lot of researches, especially in engineering, that after the research they are still in the classroom, but it is not being converted. So we see to it that after they have done the research, we have to convert it into commercialize. It will have to commercialize it. And as of now, we had developed a master's of science in technopreneurship. This is a combination of engineering and entrepreneur. So there is 2 ways. One of conversion the research output into commercialization, and the other one is having this. We have the first uh, Master of Arts in Technopreneurship in the Philippines. That is in our university.
Okay, so you have a focused master's program in that area.
Technopreneurship.
How is the take-up on that program compared to the other programs? Are they popular? What do you think?
Actually, as of now, we have 22 students in the master's program, not only from our province, but even in the different provinces of the region. And so they are being, and now there are a lot of enrollees coming.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the floor? I'm going ahead with so many questions. Are there anything anybody wants to? No, no. Anything on the, from Sean doesn't have any questions coming? Is there one? Sorry, let me just check. Oh, Sean, hold on. Okay, there is a question from one of our audience. The question is there any strategy or framework in place to support staff startups? Anybody? Mr. Sambo, what do you think? We have been talking about student startups, but so the question is there any strategy or framework in place in your university to support staff startups?
Yes,
Staff,
thank you.
yeah.
Yep, to support the startup, we need to have the policy and strategy. And the main important is we support the like infrastructure, yeah, by like building like the workplace for staff or for the student to work, yeah, on the startup. And for the structure, yeah, the university need to organize the structure to support like from management, from top management of university and from each faculty to support each area that we will start up. And other point is related to motivate to the staff and to the student need to join or to work together to support the activity. This is my point of view.
Okay. Prof. Hai, I mean, we are referring to the staff of the university. Do you have a strategy in place at your university to encourage your staff to have startups? One day they will leave you, but
Yeah, actually, for continuity, we don't have considered the specific regulation to and encourage the staff to make the style for themselves.
yes,
But
yes.
we want to, and we encourage our staff to do more study and do application to the practice to serve for the community. And of course, when they get the new funding, we can register for ID, and then we can do the application, transfer the technology, transfer the funding to company or to the community, and that with the of course that works belong to them. But not if they do their own company, that belongs to them. But to continuity, we have our strategies to encourage our staff. Even now, we like to consider strong group of researchers to do research and then develop new technology to apply to the community, to serve the community. That's our main role. Yeah.
Okay, good, good. And Prof. Toko, do you have any experiences in your university? Do you have a strategy in place?
No, we don't have a strategy in place, but my thinking is that startups would involve students And if those startups have been developed using research funds from the institution, then you address them in a different way. If it's from funds that were obtained maybe from an external organization, I think that also would have a different strategy.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you. Prof. Doctor?
Yeah, I think with these startups, we also have to develop. When they have to develop the business, we also have to develop their values. The values on how we can say, I mentioned on dedication and their love for work. So if the startup graduated, they will have to love their work and love to help others. So with these values, I think these startup graduates can still be with this in their heart to love their neighbors, to love others and helping others for their work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sean, are there any other questions? One more? Okay. Okay, the question from one of the audience is, does your university invest directly in a student startup? Prof. Hai?
Actually now
Funding wise, yeah.
we invest into some ways. First, we equip facility for them to do research, and then even to scale up. Another, we invest for them, consider the rent the budgets for them to do research, and then we invest them by supervise them to do research, and then we can introduce them to even the companies to do research, and introduce them to different companies so that they can work together with different companies. We do not invest directly the money for them to establish the company themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your the policy in your university. Yeah. Okay. Sambo?
Yeah, for my university, we invest small also for startup. We have different sort of fund. There are the fund from government. Yeah. We for support like the material or lab, and the fund from donor. Yeah. The fund from donor, we have the fund for build the building, yeah, and the fund from student fee. Yeah, we allocate the fund to support the startup. Thank you.
Okay. And do you take along the same topic? Does the university take a equity or some kind of a percentage when you invest into a startup?
Yeah, we invest to a startup. I mentioned even from the project partner, from develop partner also. Yeah, we invest.
Okay.
Yes.
Prof?
In our case, as I mentioned a while ago, that the university has invested. We have 2 buildings for our PIT B and student innovations. So the university had erected 2 buildings for that startups, and then we have also some facilities coming from our other agencies like the DOST and the capital for the startups, capital money for the startup.
So from the
DOST, the capital, and the social funds, and some facilities, and the university had the buildings.
Okay. And Prof. Doctor?
In our case, it's indirectly, where you invest in the infrastructure, you invest in mentors to assist the students, but not invest directly into their startups. And then also linking them to funders outside the institution following the government's framework, like we heard from the previous session, that there are some innovation funds that are made available by government. So in our case, we also have those opportunities. So our responsibility is to link the students with those external funders.
Okay, very good. Okay, so any questions from the floor? Yeah, there's someone could pass the mic. Not a question.
Hello. Okay. First one, thank you, professors, for very informative information so far. So I have a question that, as you mentioned, that we go to university to earn a degree, and we have to study. So if we spend so much time on startups, then how can we manage the time and we can manage the workload? Because when we involve in the startup, there's so many things to work on. So is there anything the student can do to balance them? And is there any solution from the university to support them? And that's my question.
It's coming from a student, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, I'm from Cần Thơ University, Vietnam.
Okay, thank you. So,
Yeah.
how do we encourage, how do we foster?
Yeah, as I mentioned, this can be the laboratory for the students. When you studied business, for example, BS in business and accountancy, for example, or entrepreneurship, this will the BITBS in our case become their laboratory, and they started there, and they have been developed, and they become a good entrepreneur when they graduate. So you can still balance with the startup as one of your laboratory for your subject.
Prof. Toko, what do you think? Sorry, sorry.
I think if you are passionate about something, it's just like research. If you are passionate about something, you will find time to do it. You will be working at night, you'll be working during weekends on your startup. I think it's just passion that should be driving you. And of course, you shouldn't forget about your studies and focus only on the startup. But it's like weekends, it's like in the evening, it's like what you do as a researcher.
Okay. Mr. Sambo?
Yes. For the question, the university have the curriculum, and we have theoretical and we have practical. And from the past, most we only learn by theoretical and no practical. So the quality of the student when they graduate, they we can say have the limit. So in this case, the government or the university change from the past to current by push by motivate for the startup. So when we have the startup, we have the opportunity to practical combined together. So the quality of education will be better from before. Yes, thank you.
Fine.
Yeah, actually, when we go to the university, of course, we are going to get knowledge. But knowledge here not only from theory. Knowledge can be gained from practice, can be gained from research, and that consider to practice different course in the curriculum or research that considered required. But to move further, consider staff, incubation, and then apply to the practice, something like that, that's still a long way. So normally we do not force on the student to follow the second step. The second step just consider for the strong students who are willing to do on that and want to go further on that, then they can go. They can go. Beside that, the university normally, I think most of the university always equip support the student in facility to practice facility in research and also in approach to industry, something like that. That may attract the student to go further step if they need. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just to my own personal experiences too, just because it's a question from the student and it's a very, very intense question. You know, I believe that if you look at the world, you know, the world is evolving, the job market's evolving, and so forth. And if you read the World Economic Forum reports every so often, you know, the key skills of the future, you know, a couple of key skills, I make a couple of them, but the ones that I think I can relate to the topic that we are discussing here is in terms of creativity and innovativeness, you know, in the future skill requirements. And for me, you know, startups is one thing, but entrepreneurship is a kind of a skill set or soft skill set that we should inculcate among all our students. And whether you pick it up and become your own startup, your own company, that's a choice that you have to make, like what Prof. Toko said. If you have the passion to drive it, you will drive it. But at the same time, you know, entrepreneurship is expected even if you're working for corporations, even if you're working for a small company, enterprise. So those are the kind of skill sets that are required in the future. And I think it's important that all students embrace that. Yeah, whether you become a startup or not, that's your passion that will drive you to. Is that okay? Good. Thank you. So we have. Is there another question? Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. And I heard that from the Philippines, you changed the university from only theoretical courses to practical courses included. So I'm very interested in practical courses. Can you give me an example of that course? Like, what do the students do and how you can evaluate their performance?
Okay. Doctor is from Philippines.
Thank you, thank you. As I mentioned, if you will be, even if you are engineering students or an entrepreneur, not entrepreneur, maybe other courses, but when you have that in the startup, you can develop, as I mentioned, not your skills and also the values. How can you do entrepreneurial skills? So being an engineering students and you are now on the startup, you can still develop values and the skills on how you can say, this is my product, how can I commercialize this? So this is how we can say, not even whatever your course is, this will become your practicum, not only for entrepreneurial students, but even what course the student has. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other questions from the floor? And there's one more. You may want to introduce yourself, yeah, first.
Okay, good afternoon to speakers. My name is Zen Wei from Asia Pacific University, Malaysia. So my question is actually to all speakers is that if some student, he got a brilliant idea, like an idea that really like in terms of business model is very like profitable, but he don't have the technical skill, like he or his team or his co-founder don't have the technical skill to make up that idea. So maybe example, he want to build a car, but he is not engineering people. So how does university help this kind of situation? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Sambo?
Yeah, for that's one we need the practical. Usually, when we study at university, we study theoretical and practical. But when you complete the graduate, for example, like bachelor program or master program, yeah, you need to work in somewhere first, like at the company. So company as the like incubate center, like during afternoon we visit to Marathi. That's one is we can apply for the idea. Yeah. So when you work with the company, the idea you can flow and you have the experience. And other you can join with other organization, other association like business association, young entrepreneurship association, like example like BNI, or to work with the commercial organization. That's one you can apply, and you can sell some money also from the work. And when you have the money, you can invest, yeah, by like we call invest by can be the partner if your capital is related to small, you by invest with the form of the partner, yeah, and other form if possible. It's just my ideas.
Okay, Profai, I think the just to complement what Mr. Sambo said, yeah, you're talking about partnerships and potentially working, him working with a company. At the same time, assuming like what he said, he's got a great business idea, but he lacks technical nuance or technical competency. So in a university, how would you help this aspiring entrepreneur? Example.
Yeah, actually, when the student get the good idea, that considered the first step, the only first step to get the idea to become the new finding, that we should do the research or do the trial or something like that. Then you get the finding, if that's good or not, if to certify that the idea is really good or not. So that normally important. We stay in the university, we can't do research. So normally in our country university, we have some kinds of supporting students to do research. Like every year, we call for the proposal. We call for the proposal from the student to apply the concept note, and then we select the good concept note to approve, to develop further proposal, and then grant for them the budget to do research. That every year we not only to rent the budget for our staff, but for the student, which is the very big number, about 5% of the budget for the research, including the research of the students. And another way, most of the students in our university do the thesis research, not only take exam for graduation, but most of the students doing the research for graduation, thesis research for graduation. And the research idea can come from the student, or can come from some support from the supervisor, or follow the project, the supervisor, something like that. But mostly from the idea of the students, especially the scientific research, we select that good idea for research, and then when doing research, we can get the good findings. From the finding, we can organize competitions, and within university, and even apply the best one from the university to further stay at the ministry level. And with that one, together with the media, we call for collaboration of different industry, and to apply that idea to the practice, to production, or to the practice later. So we welcome good idea from students, and then we support in different way. Yeah, thank you.
Prof. Joko, what do you think?
I'll just add that we allocate mentors, and I believe the mentor has an important role to play in the validation of the idea and to advise the student on, collaborative partners to complement whatever skill, because I don't think you can come up with a great idea and you have no skills. So maybe there is a skill that you don't have, but you have other skills. I believe in the engagement with the mentor, then you are able to identify your strengths, your areas of development, and maybe who else around the student body has the skills that this particular student doesn't have. And then that would be the collaboration within the institution.
Thank you. Yes.
When the students being develop their entrepreneurial skills, when they graduate from college, they are not looking for a job, but they have to create a job. So if they are entrepreneurial, they have the entrepreneurial skills, they can create the job for others. Not only say looking, they will have to seeking for a job, but they will have to accept others and create a job for others.
Okay. So in general, if I could summarize, I think there are resources out there within the university environment that you should exploit. And going through, for example, I think all the universities here have a startup organizational function, and I think that function will be able to provide you the guidance in terms of, assuming you lack a particular competency, that they will be able to complement. That's what I heard from the panelists. Okay, all right, good. Anyone else? All right, there's a question. Is there a mic that someone could? There you go. Please introduce yourself.
Good day, everyone. My name is Nomdeni Vilane. I'm from South Africa at the University of Mpumalanga. So I would like to ask, is there any copyright policy that guards the students' ideas or the students' innovative ideas?
Okay.
Because we've seen in a couple of instances where a person comes with an idea, maybe it gets declined for some reason, and at a later stage, that idea, we see it blooming or blossoming somewhere else. So I'd like to ask if the universities have a copyright policy or a way that they can safeguard our innovative ideas. Thank you so much.
Excellent question. All right. I think you're referring to IP, yeah? Anyone? Profile?
Yeah, actually now the IP, everywhere we want to apply the IP, and each country, and also I think every university we also have regulation. A country they have the law for IP, international law for IP, and at the university we also have regulation on that. The idea is, of course, authorized. If you have good idea, you do research on that, and then how the order in the paper published, when we apply that finding to the practice, how about the right, the property of the orders, that also mentioned very clearly. The idea come from the student, the idea come from the staff, something like that. So how we do with that? But another one is the fund, the budget to support the idea. Then you must have the good facility to do research. You have to have the budget to do research. The facility from the university, budget come from the university, or even budget come from the company. So we have different regulation. of course, we always respect the idea, good idea from the student. So that one consider other of the work, but the manager of that work, governance of that work, something like that. That's sometimes mentioned in different regulation. Yeah.
Thank you. Prof. Toko, I think is one of your students asking. Yeah, I think, yeah, go ahead. IPs or copyrights. Yeah, it's a critical element because you have a bright idea. You want to protect it. Yeah. So how does universities help in that area?
Yes, I think as indicated that each government has got an IP Act. So in South Africa, there is an IP Act. And there is also an organization that is dealing with intellectual property. Then institutions develop their own policies, their IP policies that are based on the country act. So in our case as UMP, we have a draft IP policy.
Okay. Thank you. And just my own personal experiences that if someone comes up, you, for example, you've got an idea, yeah, you got to protect it in that sense, and you got to go to the right sources to make sure that there's a sense of confidentiality and so forth. And in some instances, as you go through that, if it's like what Prof. Hai says, you mature it, it becomes more into something that is viable, then you should work with the institution to, I call it, patent it, first of all, protect it. It's very important. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So we have a question from the audience. One more. It's got a lot of questions. Very popular topic. Yeah. Are there any collaborations with corporations to enhance the startup environment in the universities? I think some of you kind of implicitly stated just now, but perhaps you may want to clarify. So the question is again, are there any collaborations that universities do with companies or corporations to enhance the startup environment in the university? Sambu?
Yeah, at CAUK, we have collaboration with the industry also that we call University Industry Linkage, UIL. So if we have the Faculty of Agriculture, we sign MOU or MOA with other industry. For like the case at CUK, we sign with the industry that we call agro industry or something. Yes. And for the business, we sign a MOU with like the bank also for the student for to field trip or for the startup. Sometimes we invite the expert from the company for speak or something. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Prof. I think you mentioned a couple of times industry and corporation. So,
Yeah.
what are your experiences?
Yeah, actually, it's a collaboration between university and the companies, and together with the government. That very important trends now. Not in for all. I think most of the university. In Cần Thơ University, we also have very strong collaboration with different national, international company, and in education, in research, in technology transfer, in recruitment of the student, related student, something like that, and also to train the company staff also. For the support of the direct support of the company for the student research. We also that also in occurs in many MOU, but sometimes they also, but mostly they also have the contract or direct contract in research between the company and the university. So the university means the staff and the student working together to do on some area of research and then apply to the company. So that may larger compared to the only small only research for the student, only for the staff, so for staff, but also for general activity of the university, yeah, including staff. Yeah.
Just to add on, just to extend that, in your experiences in your country, what would motivate corporations to work with universities in this area? What are the motivations? How do you encourage companies to work with universities?
Not actually now, not only the university try to promote the collaboration with the company, but the company come themselves to our university too.
Okay.
From each college, from different level of the university, from the leaders to the staff, from management board to the school and college. I think most of the at level recognize that collaboration with the company is very important nowadays. Last time we worked mostly with the local government, but now about time to promote further to collaboration with the company to apply faster, stronger, and to the practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Prof. Doctor.
Yeah. In our case, we have collaborated with some agencies, and just last month we had given award to our collaborators. We have one here. One is the Palawan Chamber of Commerce, which we had a collaboration with them, with our PITB and other companies which has collaboration, because they know that the product that was developed by our incubators can be used by their company. So it's a good collaboration between some of our business women, companies, and some organizations in our province.
Prof. Toko?
We are collaborating with the small enterprise development agency in South Africa, which is a parastatal and is funding quite a number of our activities in our center.
Okay, good. And I think in the just to maybe there's a question for you. I think the last time when you presented yesterday, I think your university is relatively new. Is that right? And you've just started. So what are the focus areas when you look into innovation and research? Are there specific areas? Just now remember that in Haminda, is that right? Our Cradle VP presented, he talked about specific areas, life sciences. But in your experience, what are the areas that you're focusing on?
So in our case, we're focusing on biodiversity.
Okay.
Agriculture, various aspects of agriculture, which would include post-harvest technology. Local economic development is one of our areas. Ethics and governance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Just curious because you said you just you're the baby, you said, among the 9 or 10 universities.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, our university was established in 2013.
Yeah.
And enrolled the first cohort of students in 2014.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Let me just check if there are any other questions online. None, not yet, not yet. But let me maybe pose a question that I have. And this is probably not specifically a university environment. One of the things that I'm also quite passionate about driving innovation and so forth. And one of the things that I look into is in terms of success of startups and innovation and so forth globally. Yeah. And one of the Harvard Business Review reports say that typically, a 90%, I don't want to be so demotivating to our startups here. 90% tend to be not so successful. And typically 1 out of 10,000 is in Elon Musk. Yeah. And also earlier on when Prof. was moderating the panel, I think one of the questions is that can someone from Philippines come into Malaysia to do the startups and so forth? And one of the comments was the fact that when you look at startups and incubating ideas and so forth, it is risk. There are risks involved in these areas and so forth. So in your experience, I think from a university environment, what do we need to do in order to improve the success of startups? What do you think? Because it's typically 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10 to be successful. What do you think? What are your personal experiences? Anyone? Just Prof. Hi. Just personal experiences. There are no right or wrong answer in this. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we mentioned for each university, we all try to support the student in theory, in doing research. That's very important for each university. But the most important thing, how to conduct the second step, to consider incubator, and then apply that one to the practice. That's very important. So for this stage, it's very necessary to need to promote further collaboration between the university, with the industry, with the government, local government. So with this one, from the good findings of the research at university, that can be applied step by step to different scale at the company or at the incubator of the local government. And then from that one, they can multiply or scale up to larger scale.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got a couple of factors that you need to consider, and I think collaboration is one of the key factors, isn't it? Bringing the practicality and bringing the commercialization experience helps in order to mitigate some of these risks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Prof. Doctor.
Yeah, with the right attitude and we have the right skills of the startups, and of course with the right collaborations, and we can do some success of innovations.
Okay. Very good. I know that we're supposed to continue on to 6 o'clock, but there have been so many questions. I think, from me, from the audience here, and from the audience joining us virtually. I think we've exhausted most of the topics. I've run out of questions too. Any comments, last comments from Mr. Sambo? Anything you want to say on aspiring startups? Any advice?
Yeah, inspiring startup is very important, especially when the staff teacher at university or even the student, because it give opportunity, provide opportunity to the implementer the experience. Yeah, the experience about the startup. And if we not startup, we don't have broadly experience. Yeah, so For example, like academic scene, yeah, when we work on startup, we have the evidence. We will be better the career, yeah, to teach or to explain to the student. If we are only the theoretical, we don't have experience, so the student cannot believe. And for the student, when you involved in startup, you can apply the experience for the real work, and you will be the good entrepreneurship for the future. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and Prof. Hai. Any advice?
Actually, the startup not only at university. I think during the university, they consider very good environment for you to do stuff. If not in time, then later you can, when you work for different companies, something like that, during working time, you can do your stuff even later. So with good experience, with good budget from yourself, and with good support from the social, then you can do your stuff even later. So stuff could be considered to do what you to realize your idea, to become to commercialize your idea, something like that, and that can be do in different way, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Joko.
Believe in yourselves. And there is no achievement that has escaped some form of failure. As we know, you fall 7 times and you stand up 8 times. So never give up, just follow your dreams.
Thank you. And Prof. Doctor.
Again, I say with the proper training and skills, and then with proper attitude and right collaboration, of course, with the guidance of our Savior.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I thank Prof. Doctor, Prof. Toko, Prof. Hai, Mr. Sambo. Thank you very much. Lots of questions from all of us, and appreciate the time that you've spent in sharing. In general, all of us are, like what you just said, Prof. Toko, in terms of encouraging our students to look into more of a entrepreneurial mindset. And as I said that, not all of you would want to go into a startup mode, but that particular mindset will also help you if you work for corporations and so forth. With that, again, thank you very much. Appreciate all the answers and the comments that you've given to the audience. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much to all the panelists for their valuable knowledge shared. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the ceremony. We hope this unique collaboration through the Entrepreneurship Summit will continue to provide a unique insight to the real world of business and entrepreneurship, which will offer a wide range of effort and successful startup efforts led by academics and students. With that, I thank you all and wishing everyone a pleasant evening. Thank you.